Welcome everyone to the stream in terror. Welcome Sydney and September Dragon, and I know we have a couple more people hiding in the wings, or did. I think they've gone now. That's fine. Welcome everyone. Yes, of course the one that I put as a joke wins. Silence. We don't want to hear you narrate, you narrator. What do you think you're doing? Excuse me. So how was everyone this evening? Sorry, I'm trying to eat my dinner real quick. It didn't get ready till recently. Welcome everyone. Welcome, the new people have showed up. So, yeah. I'm trying to not take the same spot that everyone else is live streaming in, because it's quite a few that like start at like 7:30. I'm eating a burrito, and the back end like flipped open and like quite a bit fell out of it. I was like, oh man, not the burrito. Everyone loves burritos. And truth be told, if I could hook it up properly, I would totally add Final Fantasy VII as my one of the ones to live stream, but live streaming a PS game or a PlayStation game is kind of difficult. You need a lot more stuff than what I have right now. Apparently, Sydney put a chuck roast in the slow cooker today. Yes, those are so good. My husband and me were talking about what to make for dinner, and maybe we should grab something. He's like, you know what? I know what I want. I'll make dinner, and he makes burritos. So, it works. We had everything but the sour cream, so I just went and picked up the sour cream for him. Gotta have the sour cream. Gotta enjoy what you eat. You gotta eat so much to stay alive, so. So it seems like both has basically won, because it's all tied. I'm kind of, the music silence no speak is a joke and doesn't count. I mean, I could just put it back on stream. We'll start shortly. You can just listen to music, but you know, that's not really what my channel's about. I never think of a fourth choice, so I thought I'd put something funny. Live reading stories is now winning over. Welcome everyone who else has joined recently. Alright. Let's see. And guys, if there is a specific, hold on, my brain is not been functioning the last little bit. If there's a specific type of story that you'd like me to read, just tell me and I will find it for you and read it. Nope, that's not gonna work. Come on, computer. I believe in you. Believe in me that believes in you to work. Welcome everyone who's walking in. Welcome, welcome. Lurkers are just as fine. I'm going to start with the glitch in the Matrix. Because I know a lot of you really like Glitch in the Matrix. So, and remember to hit that like button, guys. Alright. We're going to do a Glitch in the Matrix first, which is what I told you guys. Sorry, I had a cough real quick. Oncoming car disappears. I just found this subreddit and thought about a recent experience I had with my housemate. A couple of weeks ago, my housemate and I were driving home. We work for the same company. When we got stuck behind a slow learner driver, we approached a roundabout and it seemed like we were taking the same exit as the learner driver. As soon as I noticed this, I was thinking of overtaking them after the exit as it leads to a straight road down a slight hill. But before we could leave the roundabout, I noticed that there was a silver car heading towards us on the other side of the straight road. So I thought to myself, damn, I guess I'll have to wait to pass. At the exit, there was a slight bend onto the straight road, causing the learner to go super slow for some reason. As we got onto the straight, I was waiting for the silver car to go past so I could see past the learner's car. Then, all of a sudden, a van following me pulled out to overtake. I'm thinking, what the fuck is this guy doing? He has a death wish, I guess. But as he passed, I looked ahead and there is no silver car. Now, I would have said that I imagined it, except the fact that at the same moment, my housemate said the same thing. So I then overtook the learner, and he proceeds to tell me his side of the event, about how he thought OP better not overtake this learner, as that car is about to go past. And I thought the van was crazy for overtaking at that moment. We then spent the rest of the drive home questioning every little detail. It was worth knowing that there was no turn off this straight road. It was just like a mile-long bypass road to avoid a village. There was one lay-by area, but it was empty as we drove past. Edit. We joked that the car must have been a backroomed. Oh. Edit. We joked that the car must have been backroomed afterwards. Poor cars in the back rooms, guys. Gotta be careful. It could take you at any moment. Anything you guys specifically like me to read, just tell me. Live reading has definitely one for now, so. No, I read that. Okay, this is much better. Okay, I'm going to read a Let's Not Meet next. High school boyfriend from 15 years ago that ended up in a mental hospital. Let's not meet again. So my senior year of high school, I dated this guy. Let's call him Tom. We dated for over a year. The relationship was not good. We were always breaking up and getting back together, fighting a lot, and he threatened me quite a bit. Just overly very toxic. His parents also had a very rocky relationship. His dad was an alcoholic and beat on his mother most nights. I even witnessed it when I spent the night there on rare occasions. It was scary. Towards the end of senior year, Tom cheated on me at his birthday party. So again, we broke up. Months later, we tried to get back together, but I realized I just didn't like him anymore and called it quits for good. That was 15 years ago, and the last time I saw him, I've since heard he became an alcoholic, just like dear old daddy, became very violent and wound up in a mental hospital. I wasn't sure the details on this, but have heard he might be schizophrenic, which is very possible as well. Who knows? Oh yeah. 9 years ago, I met my now husband. We've been married for 4 years and have a 2-year-old and another on the way. This is for context. Maybe about a year ago now, I got a random text message asking, Julie? I get work calls and texts on my personal phone, so I answer, yes. They wrote back, how are you? I should mention, I've had the same number since high school. I didn't respond because I didn't know who it was, and at this point figured it wasn't something having to do with work. A few minutes later, I got another text. It's Tom. How are you? When I tell you I gasped, I responded, I'm well. I hope you are too. He wrote again, what are you doing? Again, I didn't respond. Then a minute later, do you ever think about us? Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we were still together? Do you ever think about getting back together? I sat in silence, rereading this message, unsure how to respond. Finally replied, I'm sorry, Tom, but no, I'm married now and wish you the best, but I don't think we should have any form of communication. He responded, okay, sorry. I thought this was weird, but whatever. Maybe this dude is lonely and decided to reach out. Who knows? That was that. Last week, his mother showed up at my family business. I've worked here since... Last week, his mom showed up at my family business. I've worked here since high school in different roles. She and his father have gotten divorced, and she now has a boyfriend she seems happy with. We exchanged pleasantries, and then she asked, did you hear about Tom? He was in an institution. I said, I heard that, and I was sorry to hear it. She said, he killed several animals. That's why they ended up locking him up. Again, I said I was sorry to hear that. Then she said, yeah, but he's out now. Has been for a while. You know, you were always my favorite girlfriend he had. Do you ever still think about him? I wasn't sure what to say to this. I want to say, lady, that was in high school. No. Instead I said, no, I'm married now with a toddler. I don't have much time to think about anything. Trying to lighten the mood, I guess. She then said, you know, he's not a bad guy. I don't see him that much anymore, but when I do, he still talks about you. He wonders what could have been. Would you ever be open to talking to him? That's when I shut things down. I told her it was great to see her, but that I told her that it was great to see her, but the option was off the table now and forever. I said I had to get back to work. I walked away and hid in the back until she left. What the actual fuck? This high school relationship was years ago. I want no part of him or his family. I'm just so sincerely hoping he doesn't pop up at my place of work. I have no idea if he's still around in the area, but I really, really hope he isn't. Anyway, bizarre old high school boyfriend, let's not meet again. That is weird. That is bizarre. To have him reach out recently and then the mom shows up, that seems fishy to me. I think he asked his mom to go in there. That is really bizarre. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking for another story for you guys. Hey, Andrew's here, sleep. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you so much, man. Sure. All right. So. Family used a Ouija board when I was a baby. My family and I built a big house on the countryside when I was about 9. I could never sleep on my own and always seen a hooded figure pacing past my window at night. Priest came out and blessed the place, but we moved a house a few years later and I wasn't bothered by this figure anymore. I went to work with my brother's best friend when I was 17, and he told me the story about them all using a Ouija board, and I couldn't sleep for weeks afterwards. I'll do my best to summarize. It all started when 2 Australian girls came over to visit family in Ireland for the summer. One of them was in home and away since. One of them was in home and away since. My brother started half dating the actress girl, and after a few days, the whole group all met up in my house, and the Aussie girl asked if they ever played with a Ouija board before. My brother and his mate said no, and there was no way to buy one. The girl said that you can make one, and they got a sheet of paper and a shot glass. My other older brother said they spoke certain words to get it to work, and he still remembers them to this day. They asked a few questions, and seemingly to everyone's surprise, the glass flew around and like crazy, and my dad said he didn't sleep for 2 weeks after seeing it. They were speaking to deceased family members, or so they thought, and they all got obsessed with the board and done it every day for weeks and months, even bringing it to school. Things started to get bad really fast, though. My brother's friend told me he'd cycle home and feel followed, and then the hooded figure seen on his bed laughing at him as he screamed. There was other numerous stories too long to post. They contacted the Catholic Church, and a priest trained in exorcism arrived and told them to burn the homemade board. They had invited demonic spirits posing as family members. He was stupid and dangerous. He blessed them all and the old house at the same time. There was an unaliving shortly after. My brother and said friend and I worked for found him and cut him down. This happened at the same time we moved houses, and the big house on the country had some scary shit until that, too, was of course blessed. Maybe something strange followed my family there. That's, of course, for another post. I get chills just even typing this all out. Ooh. It's going pretty good, Interscare. And hello, Sweep Leg. I'm pretty fast at going between just chatting and then live reading. Ugh. If there's anything anyone wants me specifically to read, please just tell me, and I'll read it. I'm just kind of finding different stories to read. Almost Kidnapped. This story happened this weekend before Thanksgiving. Sorry. This story happened the weekend before Thanksgiving in 2020. It was during my junior year of high school. My friend and I were going on a walk. We live in a town of 15,000 people with little crime. At around 11:30 p.m. We would often go on late night walks when his parents went to bed. We were walking through my friend's neighborhood on essentially the main street of the neighborhoods as we normally did. A car passed us and turned around at the end of the street. It was the end of the main street where you could either turn left or turn around, and drove past us to our back side. The car stopped about 30 to 40, going to assume feet, they didn't specify, behind us, and we took note of it, especially after no one got out of the car, and the car itself remained motionless for what I remember to be an eternity. Probably around 20 seconds or so, actually. Suddenly, and luckily, we were looking right at it. The car began speeding downwards towards us, and we bolted to the left into a fairly small but densely wooded area of the neighborhood. By the time the car stopped, we had been probably 10 feet or so into the woods and about 15 total feet from the car. The man began getting out of the passenger side door, but because we continued into the woods, giving us more distance between the car, he quickly got back in said car, and the car drove away. We sat in the woods for 15 or so minutes before sneaking back to my friend's house, hiding whenever we heard or saw a car. We still go out late at night walks to this day, but we always ensure that we bring a knife. Fair enough. Definitely worth making sure that you are safe. You never know. Okay. This one is a fairly longer story, just to warn you guys. It's just a true story specifically. I'm just gonna quickly... My lips are pretty chapped due to the weather change where I'm at. I always do this when the weather changes. So I can keep them lip balmed, otherwise they'll start cracking and it'll hurt a lot. The Bamboo Vigilant. I think this is Vigilant. Just 1 second. Vigilante. Okay. The Bamboo Vigilante. A true and scary dumpster dive story. This allegedly true and wild-ass story was written and emailed to... Oh, sorry. Never mind. I can't read this one. It specifically says I'm not allowed to read it. Sorry. My bad. If you want to read it, you can find it on Reddit. It would have been a good one, probably. Darn. Yeah, that sounds right. That It You're Scared does go live like every other Saturday, not all the time. And Miss Creepy Tales is going back to doing her lives on Saturday, so this is why I'm trying to do an earlier time if I can, but it is what it is. I have to make it fit in my life. I can't fit around other people's, so. Okay, so we'll go with this one instead. Me and a buddy got stalked at night. My homie and I were going on a quick little night walk. We left the house around 9 and walked down the block. PSA, I live in a suburban, safe neighborhood. While walking down the road, a white minivan flashed its bright lights on our backs. My buddy said he just wanted to get by because we were in the middle of the street. So we moved to the sidewalk and sat on the curb to talk. The next thing we knew, they pulled around to come back by us. My buddy saw 2 people in the car. At this point, we didn't think too much of it, and we continued walking down the road they came from the second time. We then saw a lady walking directly towards us in the street who appeared to be on the phone with someone. Keep in mind, this street is under construction and is unoccupied. As we made it next to her, she stopped to look at us and acted as if she was looking around. As we passed her, she walked back the same direction she came from to follow us. Keep in mind, she's on a call with someone still. My buddy kept telling me to look, but I didn't want to make it obvious. Next thing we knew, the same white minivan drove back by us slowly, and the man in the driver's seat turned his head a full 180 and locked eyes as he went by. My stomach filled with the worst feeling of dread I had ever felt. Oops. Hold on, my music froze, it seems. Why no one tell me music stops? Pretz has been doing this a lot lately. Okay, start again. Okay. On edge, my buddy and I made an agreement that if we saw him again, we'd run. My buddy then saw headlights as the minivan turned around to come back down the street towards us. We both fucking bolt to the first street with occupied housing. My buddy was a bit behind me because he had stuff in his pockets. My buddy saw the van turn towards the street. We ran down to follow us. We fucking panicked and hid behind a car in a driveway. The van then slowly drove by us, going east, clearly searching for someone. He passed us at this point. He passed us. And at this point, we were walking down the street when we saw him turn around to come back down the same street. So we ended up sprinting a few houses down to a different driveway to hide behind a truck. We then knew that this was very serious, and we both had our knives ready for the worst case scenario. As the van slowly drove past us again, we booked it to the different road he came from and ran home. We are now home and safe, but we both are on edge. We don't know if we should have called the cops or not, but I'm glad we're back safe. That is fair, dude. Cops can't always help you, though, in truth be told. Because by the time, a lot of times the cops get there, especially with someone in a vehicle, they'll be gone. Yeah, that's the problem, Sydney. With Saturdays, this is why I was doing my live streams on Fridays, was because no one really did many live streams on Fridays. But due to my work schedule, it won't work anymore, which is the only problem with it. And I can't do the Saturdays morning streams either, because I do work Saturdays too now, every other Saturday. So, which is why I went like a little bit earlier. So I gotta kind of, when I'm not working, gonna do a little bit earlier streams, and when I am working, I have to do a little later. Just have to make it work. I don't think mine's are gonna be certainly set in stone right now. Just because the time that I can set in stone, everyone else is live, and I don't want to compete with bigger channels. Ooh, I like the title of this one. He's here. I'm talking to this young girl in my dream, and we walk side by side in the park. It's beautiful, and the birds are chirping, the wind is blowing, and sounds of waves are in the distance. I ask her favorite season. Then everything turns white, and there's no sound anymore. Just pure silence. I turn to her, and she's now facing away from me, looking in the distance. Something that has never happened to me in one of my dreams has just happened. I move my lips, and no words come out. I tried to scream, but there was no sound. The little girl turns around, and all I can see is her moving her lips. I didn't understand what she was saying until she started looking more worried. It got to the point where she pulled my arm and yelled at me. Then I heard her scream, "He's here." I open my eyes and see my closet open. I had forgotten to close it before going to bed. I go to close it, and then a doll falls to my face, and an odd, demonic voice box says, "The deputy's here." I locked my door and did a room sweep. I can't have two coincidental events and not follow through with checking. When morning came, I threw away the doll, and when I did, the voice box activated again. That was a close one, partner. I still think about these events to this day and get shivers down my spine knowing it had actually happened to me and what it could have even meant. We had the radio today playing a song that I have only ever heard in a horror movie, and like it's like a happy-go-lucky song, but all I could think of was zombies when I heard it. It was so funny. I can't even remember what I don't even know what the song's name is, but yeah. Okay. Multiple stories, same home. My grandma's house is haunted, period. I've been telling people this for years, that it's haunted, but I've been brushed off because nobody has died here. Very recently, other members of my family have begun to notice things and are asking if I also think the house might be haunted. I kind of gave my mom a look like, really? Anyways, here are some of the stories. When I was younger, probably in elementary school, I would see people on the second level peeking over the ledge we had. They were not fully formed people, but rather these dark, shadowy figures. Freaked me out, but I also was young and could have been imagining things. When I was a bit older, I guess in high school, I thought I was maybe going a bit insane. Schizophrenia or something like that. I was in the bathroom getting ready for bed when I heard a voice. "What are you doing?" I opened the bathroom door quickly to tell my grandma not to tease me. She was asleep on the couch, and not fake sleeping because there is no way she could move that fast. I ignored it and went to lay down. I slept on the couch at this point in my life, and as I'm trying to drift off, I heard another voice, a different voice, ask, "Do you think she can hear us?" I slept on the floor next to my grandma that night. Now, I go to school and decide to tell my homies about it. Everyone is a little comedic about it, teasing me and all that. A few weeks later, an actual human friend comes over and we are baking cookies. We put them in the oven, close the door, and look at each other. "What should we do now?" I asked. My friend paused, opened her mouth, and we both froze as a little girl's voice say, "You can play with me." There are no little girls in my house. My friend, God bless her soul, called her dad then and there and left. Sorry, Catherine. Now, I've moved out. I left the house and only moved back in December of last year. I didn't hear anything and assumed I was not losing my mind. About a week ago, my grandmother confided in me that she was worried about hearing things. She said that she sometimes hears my mom ask her questions when my mom isn't home, or someone else calling out to her. I was concerned about dementia or something similar. I also brought a carbon monoxide detector. I brought up the incident to my sister since I was going to push my grandma to go to the doctor. My sister then informs me that she has also hearing voices. They call her name, and when she goes to talk back to the person calling out to her, nobody is there. She gets upset because my room is next to hers, so when she's hearing my voice, she goes into my room and I'm not there, wasting her time. The flickering lights are one thing. The shadow people could be a trick of the mind, but for multiple people to hear voices now, it changed the game. At this point, I need to get rid of this thing, but it'll take me some time to understand everything. I believe in ghosts, but a mimic? I don't know how to feel about that. I'm sure I have more stories somewhere in my brain. Oh, and some extra notes. We used a Ouija board once, several years ago. We said goodbye and everything. I severely doubt it actually did anything. Additionally, I don't practice witchcraft, but I do use the tarot cards for funsies. Maybe I should stop then. Hey Noose, welcome. Thank you for just showing up. It's nice to see you. It's been a while. Yeah, live reading stories have definitely won that battle. Ugh. Ow, that hurt. Ouch. Okay, I'm good. Sorry, I just make lots of noises because my mic doesn't cut out anything when it's on this. I do see my mouth is a little clicky, so I'm going to try and fix that. Okay. I might mispronounce this, sorry. I found a cult in the Yosemite. Let's see if I can get that. You guys are gonna be so mad when I tell you what it actually is supposed to be. Yeah, I can see it though. I found a cult in Yosemite Woods. That is a very weird spelling for something. Every summer I go camping in Yosemite with a cousin, and every trip we spend a night stargazing. There's a village with a market and restaurants down the road from the campsites, and across the road from the village is a large field of tall grass with a windy, narrow boardwalk that leads deep into the field. Imagine a boardwalk dock that reaches out into a bay, but instead of open water, it's a field surrounded by towering trees. This is where we usually sit to watch the stars. This night of stargazing was uneventful, as the sky was cloudy that night and we weren't able to see the stars at all, so we just sat and smoked for a bit. One of my cousins noticed a light deep within the woods that was still and bright. He pointed out because he thought it was odd that there was a light in the direction to begin. Hold on. He pointed out because he thought it was odd that there was a light in that direction to begin with, as that area of the woods had no buildings or campsites, which meant that there shouldn't be people in that area, as it was very late by that time. We moved closer towards that area of the woods along with the boardwalk and was able to see that the light was twinkling. It looked as though the light came from a flame. One second. It's striking the rules of any wooded national park that you shouldn't light flames in an area that doesn't have a designated fire pit. My cousin was certain that where the light was coming from was empty and open fields and were well out of the distance of any campsite, roads, or housing. The flames must have been very deep into the woods because no matter how close we get along the boardwalk, the light wasn't becoming any more clear to make out. We stopped when we heard commotion, as though a large group of people were there. We assumed that it must have been a party going on until we heard chanting. It started as loud party sounds, but slowly turned into synchronized whooping and then howling. Not like a wolf howl, but more like a harmonized growl and wails. The voices became more guttural and projected almost as though the people were making them were in pain or misery. The sounds we heard were no longer ignorable. It was obviously something odd was happening in those woods. Before I knew it, I was the only one closest to the end of the boardwalk when I turned around and saw all my cousins stayed back, huddled far behind me, staring with me into the trees. My heart was racing, and all there was to see was a light twinkling deep in the dark. The faint sound of wailing was enough to know that whatever was going on around that light wasn't a party. The next morning, my cousin and I ventured into the woods in the general direction of where we saw the light, and sure enough, it was empty woods in every direction for an acre or two, no sign of camps or cabins. The only evidence of any people being there was a large patch of dirt and pine needles, where we found masses of bare footprints left in the mud and soil. To sum this whole experience up, 1. I saw a flame deep in the forest where no people should be that late at night, where there was no buildings or campsites. Mind you, there are bears in these woods, and you can get kicked out of the park for endangering and pestering the wildlife. 2. We heard loud, harmonized wailing and chanting coming from the direction of said light. And 3. The next morning we saw a large mass of bare footprints in the soil where we could see the boardwalk we were standing on far past the trees behind the woods. Yosemite. Hey, Rowan. Welcome. But yes. Alright. I think I got one more in me, guys. I'm a little tired. My eyes are doing cross-eyed things, and my dyslexia is definitely winning this battle today. I'm just trying to find a good one for you. Okay. Nope, I can't read that. That's too blocked. This one sounds interesting. That's not too bad. Okay, so this is the last one, guys. I'm okay. How about you, Rowan? I'm just tired. That's all. My dyslexia is been really bad this last week, so I've been trying really hard to keep it together. In general, sometimes my brain and my mouth do not work well together. I don't know if it's actually my dyslexia. I just call it my dyslexia. Okay, last story, guys. I think God warned me of death. I woke up the other morning pretty pissed. A letter about code enforcement for the county bitching about my yard. The land has grown steep in parts, and my attempt to mitigate damage done by previous owners, I end up with a mound of debris that likes to grow weeds as well. I called them, take down the weeds, they say. They will work on me with the debris. So they'll probably work with you on the debris. I cannot seem to keep a string trimmer. I'm less affluent with my neighbors and can only seem to afford weak electronic ones, and their batteries or really any part of them dies within the year. So I decided to look into unconventional methods and found how I might take up scything. Which is, yep, scything was the original way you got rid of your weeds back in the day. I did a lot of research and romanticized the idea of restoring a 100-year-old American scythe like the men doing on YouTube. I immediately, late at night, search up anybody selling something local on Facebook Marketplace. A man was selling two for very cheap, very nearby. I messaged him and worked out the purchase. I fell asleep thinking of restoring the old instrument. I felt calm. In my dream, I was bowing before three figures, one a female who was peeling a fruit that looked like honeycomb full of red droplets of blood, one a naked man with what looked like a Viking helmet and a long golden horn in his hand, and the last figure I could not make out, just a scruffy, charcoal-looking image on the edge of the shadows. I wept when I saw the second figure, begged him to interject on my behalf. I seemed to have entered the dream mid-conversation. The two other figures looked at him. The woman looked at me with almost doting expression of pity. The shadowy figure seemed to be whispering to the both in a language I did not know. Both the hermit man and the woman nodded to it. The woman looked at me with a charitable sort of smile. "You will have to give some token of your appreciation later," she said. Then there is a conversation I still do not remember, and I wake up. I forget said dream. I'm 34. I have several children. My 2-year-old kids want to go get the scythe with me. We hop in the car and I drive around getting tools to use to restore it. The man lived in a remote part of the... One second. Sorry, I had to sneeze. The man lives in a remote part of the next county over. It takes a while to find his house. He is waiting in his driveway when I pull up. I immediately start feeling dread. I can't figure out why. He seems like a nice guy, yet I feel something is off. I do some meditative breathing and calm down before I get out. He tells me where he got them, and we talk a little. As soon as I pick up and hold one, I feel a brief moment of shock, like in my leg and arms. I insist on ignoring the stupid feeling. I dismiss it as me being reclusive and not feeling social today. After putting the scythe in the hitch of the van, I come around to the driver's side and stop dead. The man is standing there with a piece of paper in hand. "It's $1 million question," he said. It's some kind of religious ferret on the fake $1 million bill. Oh. It's one of those fake bills with the quote from the Bible. The man talks for a moment about death and about how we aren't going to be here forever, about Jesus Christ, and the only thing that will keep our souls from going to hell. The whole thing is redoubles the dread I feel. I'm very polite and talk my way back to my car, feeling the dread mount more and more as I drive. I stop at a light after an on-ramp, and I'm coming off an intersection left turn onto the intersection highway. I try to breathe, and I feel very sick. While the light is red, I, for some reason, decided to turn on some music. Maybe it was to calm me down. I get the urge to fiddle with Spotify on my radio screen. I heard a loud beep. The light is green. I hesitate only for a split second, and then I start going. Suddenly, a vehicle goes screaming in front of me. A red and white pickup truck has to be going 55, if not 65 miles per hour. It's a blur, basically. Even if I do make some of it out, I screech to a halt, and then one of the truck clears completely my turn, and I immediately pull into the nearest parking lot, which turns out to be a bank. My kids didn't even notice, of course. Maybe seems to be appreciated, but me... Nobody seems to have appreciated, but to me, how close we were to serious trouble. As a background, skeeters in a pickup truck are a real pain here. They drive like dickheads. They are stereotypical as hell, and often I find that they instigate road trouble a lot. I don't know what it is about this area, but the mook truck people seem to be way more prevalent than anywhere else. Of course, my reaction is rage. I wish I could have found this idiot who ran a red light and almost killed me and my children. We were feet from a rather brutal collision. I'm exhausted by the time I get home. I disassemble the scythe and put the metal parts in a rust solution. I think about taking a nap, and that is when the dream comes back to me. I remember the figures, and in my waking mind I have theories on who they are. I do read a lot of old Greek poetry and philosophy, so I could just be a coincidence. However, if the 3 Greek gods were indeed discussing my fate in a dream, the one decided to intervene on my behalf. Thanks a lot. I'll find some sort of token of appreciation to give. Oof. That is... That is why, before you pull out, you should, if there's cars coming, you should make sure the other cars stop at the red light, because people do run them. And it can be so dangerous. Ooh, playing New Vegas. Nice. Yeah, that's... that would be horrible. I'm happy that they had the urge to play with their Spotify, I guess. But yeah, no. You always have to be careful when you're driving. You never know. People do really stupid things on the roads. And I can't say anything. I do stupid things too every once in a while. But alright, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Tomorrow, some fictional horror stories are going to be live. If you are a member like Ronan here, you can actually listen to it early if you want as well. And also, if you're my Patreon, you get early access as well. So it's always something to think about. If you do enjoy my stories and want to listen early, that is an option, of course. But thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope you guys have a very good night. Bye.